Most school founders I talk to can tell me exactly how many students they have, but almost none of them can tell me how much cash is actually in the bank next month. I drove growth projects at over 70 companies in tech before joining a school as an executive. And last month, I watched a school that I've been helping that has over 100 enrolled students nearly miss payroll because of when they receive money from families, not how much they actually hand in a bank account. In this video, I'm gonna show you 3 things about your school's money that your enrollment number will never tell you. Picture this, it's June. Your school year just ended. You had a great year, one of your best. Over 100 families enrolled, strong retention numbers, and you're feeling good about the mission. And then you look at the bank account and the number is almost nothing. Not because the year was bad, but because of when the contracts end and when the new ones start. Revenue, the total amount that families have agreed to pay you, is not the same thing as cash, which is the money that is actually in your bank account on a given day. Most independent schools, they run tuition contracts that end in May. The new school year usually doesn't start collecting until July at the earliest. That leaves June as a 0 revenue month in a lot of the schools that I consult for. There's no recurring tuition coming in, but your staff, a lot of them, are still on payroll. You still have software subscriptions that are still running. Your lease or your platform, it costs. They don't pause because school's out. Now here's some industry context. An NAIS survey found that 91% of school heads say ensuring financial stability is a growing challenge. And the National Business Officers Association reported that the median gap, that's the difference between what tuition brings in per student and what it actually costs to educate that student, that gap, it increased nearly 12% in a single year. For day schools, that gap is over $5,000 per student. So even the schools that look full are usually running thin when it comes to cash. And the ones running thin are one bad month away from crisis. That bad month has a name, and for a lot of schools, it's July. The directional fix here is understanding your cash calendar. Not your enrollment calendar, but your cash calendar. When does money actually arrive in your bank account? Month by month. And when does it leave? Most founders I work with have never mapped this. They know their annual revenue, they know their annual cost, but they have never laid out month by month to see where the gaps are. The moment you do that, you see the danger zones, and you also see the levers, like when you collect deposits, how you time re-enrollment, whether you're pulling cash forward into months that need it. Think about your school right now. Do you know what your bank balance will look like 2 months from now? And I'm not talking about enrollment target, your actual cash position. If you've never mapped your cash calendar month by month, there might be a June hiding in your year that you haven't seen yet. And the thing is that when a school is struggling financially, every founder that I've ever talked to says the same thing. We need more leads, or we just need to spend more on ads, or we just need more families. And sometimes that can be true. But most of the time, the real constraint, the one thing that if you fix would change everything, is something they're not even looking at. Because they're making the decision based on a story in their head, not the numbers that are right in front of them. There's a concept that I read over and over again in Elon Musk's biography by Isaacson, and that is the idea of finding the bottleneck. A bottleneck is the one contracted step in your process that's preventing everything else from flowing. Think of it like a literal bottle, narrow at the neck. Everything backs up there. In a school, the bottleneck might be your close rate. That's the percentage of families who attend a tour or a shadow day and actually enroll. It might be your show rate. How many people who book a call actually show up? Or it might be retention. Families leaving every summer. And here's the critical part. Every business, every school makes decisions based on a narrative, a story that they're telling themselves about what's working and what isn't. And those narratives are not always true. I'll give you an example from a completely different industry. A company was spending over $700,000 a month on advertising, profitably. Every campaign made money, but a new financial officer came in. They saw the number, they got scared, and they convinced the team to shut off the paid campaigns for an upcoming launch. The fear of the number overrode the data showing it was profitable, and that's a narrative beating data. In schools, I see the same thing. A founder sees the cost of running ads, say $5,000 or $6,000 a month, and the narrative kicks in. That's too much. We cannot afford it. But the data shows each ad source enrollment generates $8,000 to $10,000 in contract value. The ratio is excellent. The narrative says stop. The data says keep going. The way you find your real bottleneck is you map every step from the moment a family first hears about your school to the moment they pay their first tuition installment. Then you put a number on each step. How many people enter, how many people move to the next step, and you ask one question. Which of these numbers is the easiest to double? Not which is the worst, which is the easiest to double. Because doubling one step cascades through everything downstream. And that step, whatever it is probably not what you assume. Here's what I would check this week. What's the story that you've been telling yourself about why enrollment isn't where you want it to be? Is that story based on a number you've actually looked at or a feeling? Because the gap between those two things is usually where the money is hiding. By the way, if this is making you realize you don't know where your school's money is actually going, I built a 12-week system specifically for alternative and independent schools called the Right Families Method. There's a video in the description that breaks down exactly how it works, what generate marketing fails for schools like yours, and what we do instead. Go watch it. Let's keep going. So far, we've spoken about 2 reasons why schools go broke in June. It might be different in your school, it might be not June, or it might be an entirely different month in which the school year ends and the school year starts. We've spoken about the fact that many schools don't realize that revenue is in cash, and we've also spoken about how usually the bottleneck that you think you need to fix within your school isn't the right one. Now, the third thing that I want you to think about today is that you need to know your number, your per student break even. And you see, every school founder can tell me their total enrollment goal. We want 150 students, we want 200. But when I ask, what's your break-even number per student, meaning how much does each student actually generate in cash every month versus how much the school costs to run, most founders have never properly calculated. And that number is the difference between a growth target that's real and one that's a fantasy. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to use round numbers based on a real school that I've worked with, not a textbook example. Take a school with a monthly operating cost of about $100,000 in summer. That covers staff salaries, software, administrative overhead, everything it takes to keep the lights on. Now, the listed tuition might be $12,000 per year per student. Sounds like about $1,000 a month. But when you account for financial aid, discounts, payment plans, and families who negotiated lower rates, the actual cash that hits the bank per student per month is closer to maybe $750. That's your blended yield, what each student actually generates in cash, not what this sticker price says. So, here's the math. $100,000 in monthly cost divided by $750 per student equals about 134 students just to break even in the summer. Not to grow, not to invest, not to pay the founder, just to cover the monthly bills. And when school year costs go up because you bring back elective teachers or seasonal staff, that number climbs closer to 150. Now, if your school has 120 students and you think you're doing fine because enrollment is strong, you're actually 14 students short of summer break even. You're running at a loss and you don't even know it because you've never calculated the per student number. The calculation itself, it's simple. Take your monthly operating cost, everything, not just teacher salaries, but software, administrative, rent, platform fees, ad spend, all of it. Divide that by the actual average cash per student per month. Not tuition, but the real numbers after discounts and aid. That will give you your break-even student count. Write it on a sticky note. Put it on a wall. Every decision you make about enrollment, pricing, hiring, and spending should be filtered through that number. Are we above it or below it? Are we moving towards it or away from it? That one number gives you more clarity than any enrollment dashboard. Do you know that number? Not your enrollment goal, again, your break-even count. The number of students where the cash coming in actually covers the cash going out. If you cannot say it right now, that's the first thing to figure out this week. Everything else follows from it. Now here's what I need you to hear. Your school's cash problem is probably not that you don't have enough families. Most likely, it's that you've never mapped when the money arrives. You've never found the real bottleneck, and you've never calculated the one number that tells you whether you're actually safe. I built a 12-week system for alternative school founders who are exactly in this position, where the enrollment looks sort of fine on paper, but the finances tell a different story. It's called the Right Families Method, and we only work with 5 schools at a time, and everything is built from inside the alternative education world, not borrowed from some agency that also serves dentists and restaurants. There's a video in the description that walks through the whole system, how we rebuild your positioning, your enrollment infrastructure, and your pre-screening so that the right families find you and the wrong ones filter themselves out. If anything in this video made you think, I need to see my own numbers, go watch that video. Link is in the description. And if you run an independent or an alternative school and you want more of this, real data, real stories, real frameworks from inside the work, subscribe. I put out videos like this every week. If you're still around, drop a comment and tell me, do you know your school's per student break-even number? I'm genuinely curious how many founders have actually calculated that.